Hi, today I want to talk about 9 ways that you can protect yourself from being hacked or financially compromised. I actually use these rules for myself and I find them to be very helpful. My credit cards and bank accounts very rarely get charges that from unknown sources on them, and I rarely have to cancel them. I know that other people it happens to regularly, and also their accounts, their email accounts, and maybe their other accounts get hacked. And I want to tell you about a few tips that I use for myself to make sure that these things don't happen to me. They can be very time consuming, costly, and a nightmare. And it's really unfortunate it happens, but there are ways to protect yourself and make sure that it rarely ever happens. So the first thing that I would talk about is that you should never use your debit card anywhere but the bank. I don't use my debit card anywhere outside of my actual bank. If I need to use anywhere else, I use a credit card. If you don't have a credit card, it's a good reason to get a credit card, and I'll tell you why. The reason why, the problem with a debit card, if it gets compromised, the bank doesn't necessarily cover you for those charges. A credit card, they will generally cancel those charges as long as you tell them within a reasonable amount of time. They will remove those charges and you won't have to pay for them. But if it comes out of your debit account, then it will be a problem because the bank may not cover those charges, and you may end up coming out of your money, and they may not refund you. The second reason why not to use a debit card anywhere but the bank is because a debit card versus a credit card, if you do get compromised, a debit card is your actual money. A credit card is just money that you owe down the line. If you use a debit card and those charges happen, and let's say you had $2,000 in there and your rent was $2,000 and was coming out the next day, and there was even a $50 charge, your check for rent is going to bounce. So that's another good reason to have a credit card. The second item I want to talk about is related to cards as well, and all cards, regardless, not debit cards or credit cards, I'm very careful as to where I use them. I generally try not to use any cards on any outside or public card readers, such as gas stations. Gas stations is really the only exception, but like an ATM machine and outside somewhere, or I'm very careful how I use my cards. I try not to use my cards in places like that. If there's a place where I can just wave the card in front of the card reader, that it has that option, I try to do that. And if I can't do that, if I'm at a gas station and I have to use a card and I have to swipe the card, I make sure that there's no piece on top of the card reader. Sometimes these scammers, they put a piece on top of the card reader so that when you stick your card in there, it reads your card as well as the actual the card reader for the gas station itself. They'll put another little piece on top of it that's very hard to notice, and it will read your card, and then they'll come and take that later, and they'll have all your card information. So the way to avoid that is you just kind of pull on the card reader itself and make sure that there's no piece attached to it, and that it doesn't look odd in any way. Make sure it looks like a normal card reader. But in general, try to avoid using your card whenever possible in situations like that. The third thing that I do, and this is regarding passwords, is I only use one set of passwords for all my financial accounts, and I use other passwords for my non-financial and non-important accounts. So any financial account that I have a password that I won't use on, say, if I go shopping on Target or something like that, or some other website. Any website that needs a password, or any app that needs a password, that doesn't have financial information, that doesn't have important information that I want to keep secure, I use a different password for the financial accounts than for those other accounts. And the reasoning behind that is because if one of these websites, say you have your password on Reddit or some other websites or some little website, and that website gets hacked and all the passwords get taken and they have your email address and password, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go to every bank and every financial institution and at Yahoo and Google and everywhere you have emails, and they're going to try that username and password and try to get into your financial accounts. So it's good to have a set of financial, what I have is emails and financials is one set of passwords, and then I don't use any of those passwords on anything non-financial or anything non-important. The next thing, the fourth item that I do regarding passwords is I don't log in to any important accounts like email, like a financial account. I don't log in to public Wi-Fi without a VPN. So I don't go onto a computer, like I won't in like a hotel, maybe they'll have like a business center or something. I will not log into a computer like that. I will not log in anywhere that's not my phone or my personal computer that I have regularly. I will not log into those accounts anywhere but my personal devices. And then also, if I'm on public Wi-Fi, I make sure to have a VPN if I want to log into anything important. A VPN is a virtual private network. There's a lot of apps out there and programs out there that you can get. I personally use NordVPN. It may not be the best. I don't know. I kind of like it. And they're relatively cheap. You can do it for like 30, 40, 50 bucks a year, and it will go all your devices, and whenever you're in public and you're on public Wi-Fi, you can connect through a VPN, and it makes sure that any secure information you're using can't be gotten by a hacker. The next thing I would say is that on your financial accounts or anything really important, you have a second level of security. So that if somebody does get your information and they want to log on from a new computer that you haven't logged into that account from before, that they have to send some sort of, there's different levels. You can either just have a text to your phone, or you can have an authenticator app that gives you a code that you have to look up on your phone. Whatever it is, there's all different sorts of second level security. But it's good to have a second level security on anything financial and your email and anything really important where you have important information. And that's another thing that I personally do. Another item is to never use, regardless of whether you're going through and using financial information on public Wi-Fi, even if you're not, you don't want to use your personal cell phone or your personal computer on public Wi-Fi without a VPN. And the reason for that is that somebody could kind of hack into your computer if you're on and install some sort of program that will read the information after you get off of public Wi-Fi. Let's say you go back to your office, your home, and then you go to your bank account, and they installed something that will read your username and password. Then they'll have that. They can install a program that will send that information even once you're on a VPN. So you don't want to ever be on public Wi-Fi on your personal device or a device that you use regularly to log into accounts that are important to you without a VPN. Next item is and this is the trickiest, this is something that you have to be very careful. When you get an email, you can get an email from your bank, your account was compromised, or you need to log in and update your information, and there's a link in that email, and you click on it, and it can go to a website that looks exactly like the website that you have. Exactly. The email will look like it came from that bank or that institution, and when you get to the website, it will be a carbon copy of the website that you usually go to. But, and I'm going to show you how you know. So Wells Fargo, when you go to Wells Fargo website, in the top left-hand corner, there's two things. First of all, the name says wellsfargo.com. And second of all, you can click this little lock. The lock means it's secured. And you can also see it says connection is secure and it issued to Wells Fargo and Company. And you can make sure that that is the actual website. I generally, if there's an email sent to me with a link that I need to go to that website for whatever reason, whether it's a message or whatever it is, I generally just open up another browser link and I will click on that browser link I will go to that website directly from the browser, and then I will log in that way. I won't click on the link in the email. And I definitely will never respond to that email with information. If they're requesting information like your social security number, something like that, never. You can call the bank and ask them, did you send this email? Never send out information through an email like that. So that's things that I'm very, very careful of. It's a common way for people, scammers, to get information from people. So, and I'll never do that. The next item is to always check your accounts at least every few days. Your financial accounts, you want to go into them and check every few days. Look at your credit card statement online. Look at your bank account. Review the charges. Even if it's just from like an actual charge that you did. Let's say you went to a restaurant and you signed the check and you remember it was like $50, right? And then you look at your charge and it's like $150. You want to catch that. But especially because if you go, let's say you go for a month and you get your statement and you haven't looked at your statement in between that month, and in between that time your card got compromised and there was 100 charges on it, you're going to have to deal with all of that. So I make it at least once every couple of days. I log into my accounts, I look at my recent charges, make sure there's nothing abnormal, and I go, I just look, quick review. You just have to look at from the last time that you've done it. It takes a few minutes and it's really helpful, and once in a while that's the way you're going to catch it, and it'll save you a lot of stress and hassle if you catch it early on. I hope this is useful. Please let me know if you'd like me to make a video about anything else. If you have any questions, please comment below. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this video, and share it. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you and have a great day.